Welcome in, Bourbon South here with you back at the Branchwater Bourbon House, Chase Parham, Steve Thomason. This morning, as we are recording, you don't really care what time it is. I don't know. I was struggling with the time of day, and it's completely irrelevant. But we are going to go a little international with you today for today's show. We got a couple bottles that Steve procured from overseas, not inside the state. We'll talk about that a little bit. Talk about his bourbon journeys as he work trips and whatnot, and the bourbon hunting that goes on with that. As always, appreciate you guys joining us. The social media likes, reactions, the message board, and just finding us wherever we are, whether it be YouTube or all the places that the podcast is with Bourbon South. Again, coming to you weekly. We hopefully bring you information, entertainment, interesting characters, and plenty more as we hunt bottles, drink bottles, and talk about them here on the podcast with you, Steve. And I know you've been interested in doing this episode. I know that you like going, obviously, your job takes you all over the world. You were in Cambodia recently. You've got all kind of stuff from that standpoint, but you're going to be hunting at the same time when you do those things. And today we have a couple bottles that did come from a good ways away from Oxford, Mississippi.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited about doing this episode. And as you said, Chase, when I travel, I'm looking. I fully expected to be shut out in Cambodia last week. And believe it or not, we'll do it some episode. I found a Blanton's Green Label Reserve for $80, half of the retail price. Yeah, it's fun. If I'm out, I'm always going to get bottle hunting.
So tell me how you go about that. Is it asking people at hotels, at your other places where you're staying, however that works? I don't know how you want to talk about that, but
Yeah.
nonetheless, is it just simply asking word of mouth, people who had been over there before from America, or are you just hunting them in Google searches? What does it look like?
A, B, C, D, E, F, and G are
Okay.
all excellent answers to that. It always starts with anytime I'm on a job, I'm going to be working with somebody in that country, the host country, an American. And typically in the office there, I'll find somebody that's into bourbon. And I think we talked on a show before, what do you love about bourbon? And it's like, it gives me an immediate connection with folks there. And the funny thing is I'll get, hey, go try this store, go try this store. The people there start trying to hook me up and think, hey, try this place and this place. And usually when I leave, I'm telling them about some store they had no idea existed in the country they live in, which is fun. But yeah, it's talking to the folks there I'm working with. I'm talking to the locals. I'm talking to a taxi driver, to a tuk-tuk driver, people at the front desk at the hotel. And it goes back to what I've always told guys, especially guys in the bourbon club and friends. How do you find good bourbons? Man, you talk to people. It's just like, I can't tell you how many times I was out of state in a store, start talking to the owner of the store, and we're just chatting. And before you know it, he realizes, hey, this guy's into bourbon. And before you know it, I'm like, hey, you got anything in the back? And it's always a great question. Don't go in there starting out with, hey, do you have Blantons? Chat with somebody, get to know them, chat them up a little bit. Yeah, I got a bourbon club back in Mississippi. Sometimes we struggle finding some of the good stuff. And you just talk to them for a while.
And suddenly,
well, no, and it's just talking to people, right? Relationships, and that's what I do. So if I'm in a country, I'm going to talk to anybody and everybody, and usually I end up finding a bottle somewhere. And I've had some really good success on some trips.
so obviously there are bottles that are only available in other countries
Yep.
that are not available in the United States. That works just the way that it does. What's the best country outside of America to find bourbon for you to this point? What country did you find the most bottles or the best bottle or however you would want to phrase
So,
that?
believe it or not, this year, Belgium.
Belgium.
Belgium. On our first show when we started back, we had that Michter's 10-year rye. We got a Michter's 10-year rye. Actually got three of them, and then a barrel proof rye toasted bottle. Which, yes, Mark Boutwell, you're welcome. I gave it to one of my buddies, and it disappeared fast. Uh, that was probably my best score of the year, to find two bottles that are so hard to get in the U.S. Today, we're drinking a couple of whiskeys that are only available in Asia. Actually, I'm not even so sure if it's not just in Japan. And so I love anytime I fly through there, I will hit the duty free. And I was in Thailand last year and flew through Tokyo, big Narita airport there. I'm not sure which one anyway. And so the Wild Turkey release last year, only available in Japan, was the 8 year. So I think I got 4 or 6 bottles and brought them back. This year's the 12 year, and thanks to my good friend Charlie Bush, who's a American Airlines pilot, lives in Fort Worth. Cousins with one of my really good friends, so now we're great friends. He was over visiting his daughter, who's over there, and we
Here
had
we are.
talked, and he's like, "Hey, he knows me. He's like, what are you looking for?" And I said, Four Roses Super Premium and whatever Wild Turkey product I have, and
That's
the
what we
generous
have.
man that he is, he brought those back. So I actually did not snag these bottles, but I had a friend snag these bottles, and they're both great bourbons. I can't wait to see what you think about this Four Roses
Because it's
Super
low
Premium.
proof, really low proof
It's
here.
86 proof, and it's super premium, but it's not like one of their premium bourbons, but it's unique and it's different. It's not that expensive. I think I was in Singapore like in 16, and I flew back through and overnighted in Tokyo just to bottle hunt. So I got up the next morning. My flight
Seriously.
was, oh yeah, I was coming back, and because my flight was more than 12 hours, I was allowed a stopover. So I just
You
flew.
took the
I
stopover.
flew to Tokyo, spent the night, found a whiskey jazz bar that night, and then the next day I got a cab driver, and I just hired him, and I said, "Start taking me to liquor stores." And I found I got two Blanton's Blacks,
Yeah. Yeah.
Four
Yeah.
Roses Super Premium. At the time it was a Wild Turkey 13. A oh shoot, I'll have to think about it. There was one 15-year old, and now I can't remember what it was. I'll think of it in a minute. And one other bottle. Oh, and then Evan Williams 12 year, which at the time you could not get anywhere but there. Now you can get it in the gift
Yeah.
shop.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, and they were just great, and I was hooked. I brought them back in the Wild Turkey 13. I brought them back to the Bourbon Club, and the 13 was probably the most popular out of it. So ever since then, I get a chance to get anywhere around Japan. I'm headed there. They love their bourbon over there. They like lighter proofs now, but man, it's a cool country. And if you ever get a chance to go there, you can find these small, unique bars. Charlie was showing me pictures of this little small bar that he and his wife hung out at, and it's just man, it's such a good time over there. It's fun.
Four Roses Super Premium. I'll let you open it up. We'll start there. We'll go lower to high proof. Again, the other one, Wild Turkey 101 12 year on the other bottle from Tokyo that we are trying here today. Again, a bit of an Asian version, international version of the show. While you're opening that up, and maybe you don't know this answer, maybe it's higher than your pay grade, but we'll ask you anyway. What constitutes where a bourbon is going to be released? I mean, are they specifically done for certain regions, or is there something else that plays a role in that?
No, or there are like Four Roses Super Premium is made just for I don't, and I'm not so sure it's even not just Asia, but made just for Japan. Uh, the company that owns Four Roses is Japanese, I believe,
Mm-hmm.
a Japanese company, and you find some bottles like Wild Turkey 12 years only released there. It's an 8 year one time. Oh, and we got the screw off top right
There you
here
go.
too.
Yeah, yeah.
Cheers, brother. Sometimes you find ones that are, and then sometimes they're just releases that just make it overseas.
You know it's pretty low proof even from the
Yeah,
nose. There's not much to it.
and I actually coming back from Cambodia, flew through Singapore, and they had the Jim Beam lineage, which is and so one of the guys in the Bourbon Club asked for me to get it for him, and I did. Uh, I think it was 274. But then after I got it, I looked at the reviews, and the reviews are out the roof on it. Supposedly, really, really good. So obviously, since I brought that bottle back for him, he's going to have to give me a taste of it. But you run into stuff like that, and that is only available in overseas markets.
I know we're on a podcast. It's bad pod. I'm just needing a second here to
I was
try to
going to say
decipher
the
this.
wheels are turning over there.
I'm as tongue tied or perplexed as I've been on a bourbon in a long time
So
because
what's getting you there?
it's because it doesn't taste like an 86 proof. It tastes more than that. It tastes
Oh,
more
absolutely,
complex than
doesn't it?
that. It's better than
Yeah.
that. Um, but it's not hot, so it achieves something that is very hard to do. And again, you guys are watching. You don't necessarily have this bottle in front of you, but try to decipher some of this. I mean, play along with us. Try to see what you get, how complex things are at different proofs. Because what I'm finding so interesting about this bottle is that it is not hot. It is not a high proof bourbon
Nope.
that's going to knock
Nope.
your socks off in any capacity. There's nothing about it that's going to blow you away. But for a low proof bourbon with no bite, there's a lot going on
It's got
there.
a good pop, doesn't it?
There's a lot
Yeah.
going on between, yeah, as you said, kind of the hit. There's a lot going on with flavors. Getting that many flavors out of something even below 90 proof, which we don't see a ton of in the
Right.
United States.
No.
It's
Yeah.
just not our thing at all. Um, and for something that had no nose hardly.
Yeah. It
That
it
is an
it
incredibly
is.
strange bottle of
You
bourbon.
know, and I love this bottle. I have standing orders with any of my buddies that travel to Japan. Always grab me a bottle of that back. So I'll be anxious for you to try the Wild Turkey 12 and compare. You know, people think, oh, Four Roses is super premium. It's not a high end bottle. I want to think I paid 40 or $50 for, but now that was 5 or 6 years ago. And I don't know, Charlie, being Charlie, would not let me pay him for these bottles. So I don't know what he paid for them, but the Wild Turkey's much more expensive. But for what they consider, even though it says super premium, it's not supposed to be a high end bourbon. I love it,
I
man.
have thoughts here, so before I give them, what are you getting out of this? Because I want to see just how far off I'm going to be with what I'm about to say.
I,
What do you get on this bourbon?
with Four Roses, a lot of time I get floral. I don't get floral with this one. Uh, I get oak, which is a little surprising for me on this. I get a little bit of fruit. I can't peg the fruit and tell you. The main thing I get is a good pop in the middle.
And it's in the middle. It's not on
Mm-hmm.
the finish. It's not on the front. It is when it hits the back of your mouth.
Uh,
The finish is pretty long though for something that's
for
86 proof.
here's the funny
It
thing.
lingers.
If I wouldn't have told you the proof,
I would have guessed 100.
I was going to say you'd have said 100, 105,
I
wouldn't
would have. Yeah, yeah,
you?
no doubt.
Yeah. I get some sweetness, a fruity sweetness. I can't tell you what fruit. Not super strong. I'm curious. What do you think?
It's what you're saying. That's the thing is that for this proof and where my mind was going in, I was expecting either fruit or floral from the standpoint of sweet,
Mm-hmm.
light. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I was expecting this real summer drink
Yeah.
kind of thing that was going to get completely overpowered in a cocktail. And instead, it's that it's oak, it's some hard spices, it's some pepper, it's
Yeah.
things that are much more in your mind strict and aggressive,
Right.
but in such a weak.
In an 86 proof.
And that's what's special about it is that it's such a strange thing because almost any 85 to 90 proof, you're not A, going to get complexity, but B, you're very rarely going to get those harsh spices.
Yeah.
You're going to get fruit and you're going to get really light and that kind of situation. And that's not what this is. I mean, this is complete hard baking spices. This is
Yeah.
pepper. This is oak. This is stuff that, I mean, this is I tell you what it reminds me of, kind of crossing over alcohols. And again, call me a dork, whatever you want to do, it's fine. Um, it is the equivalent of if you drink white wine, getting the Chardonnay that just pops you with that really oaky,
Oh
deep
yeah. Yeah.
flavor, and you go, "Damn, I ordered a white wine,
Yeah.
but that's got a lot
Right.
to it." It's kind of the bourbon part
Well,
of that. That's fascinating.
when I said I couldn't wait for you to try it, I wanted to see what you thought. You nailed it. The first time I tried this, 86 proof, and you just do not expect that. You think it's going to be super light, super soft, just a sipper that you would pound, and it is anything but that.
I'm not saying the best tasting, okay?
No, right.
Keep this in mind.
Right.
I've had Four Roses between barrel picks and some of their higher end stuff that is better than this glass.
Right.
There's no doubt. Some of their limited edition stuff is better than this. It is the most interesting bottle of Four Roses I've ever had. Interesting.
That's interesting. All right.
Does that make sense?
No. I can't say that because I've had so many barrel picks
Sure.
that just, I mean, bottles on the secondary. We had the Bourbon Club one night. We did 8 bottles, ranging from secondary $200 to $2,000. I mean,
Okay.
you can get some really good stuff. But yeah, for their base bourbons, you know what I should have done is, our show with Michael, we did the Four Roses Small Batch Select. That would be interesting to compare those.
This blows that out of the water. You've all seen that now.
Yeah,
that was episode 2. This
I like it better, and I don't know
because this I don't want to try it.
Yeah.
This would hold up to a cube, which is amazing for 86 proof.
I've never put a cube in it. That's the thought.
It would at least it would weaken it. It's better neat.
Right.
But the bourbon we tried with Michael completely got killed by the cube.
Oh,
the cube completely buried it. I think we went from like an 8 to like a 5 because of where it was. This would hold a little more because it's just got a little more pop, a little more bite, and it's got enough lingering flavor that it would stay with you for a minute.
So I'm so happy with your reaction because I've argued with a couple of buddies, and we've talked about this. There's bourbon, you can get sucked into things, and so it's like, all right, this is only available in Japan, so y'all might think it's going to be good. And I've had a couple of guys like, dude, it's not that good, it's just from Japan, it's exotic or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, it is, but
it's also good.
Yeah, I think it's to me. If you said, hey, one word to describe that, I would say interesting.
It's the word because of the proof. Now, I will, as we do the complete review of it, if it was 105 proof, I would just say that's a good bourbon.
Yeah,
it's good.
Yeah,
it's good. It's fine. It's the gimmick's not the right word, but it's the change off of what we're expecting.
Well, it's the uniqueness to it.
Yes.
For it to be an 86 proof and to bring a profile like it does.
Because I don't know an available American whiskey at 85, 86 proof that would be able to do what that's doing.
No.
They're just one note. There's not much to it. They're water. And this is
so all right. So on our 0 to 10, hopefully we never have a 0. Hopefully we never have a below 5.
We have had a couple that I don't know. Maybe
with the cube.
With the cube.
Yeah.
Old Granddad without the cube is fine.
Yeah.
With the cube, it becomes the most sour. It is terrible.
Yeah.
It is a prank to play on someone is what it is.
Yeah.
It sucks.
Ever since that episode, Roger Lawson uses that as his go-to bad bird. He laughs about that, and he's always like, "Hey, Steve, you want some Old Granddad with a cube?"
With the cube.
Yeah. All right. So, second thing I was going to say, I want your ranking, but number 2, for you listeners or viewers out there, if y'all have a rating system you would like us to use,
we'll change.
We're open. We're open for any suggestions, but 1 through 10. Oh, all right. So
the problem is we've been ranking based off availability, price, and then taste. Because we're trying to keep it within context. Right. Because I would give, and to explain that to people, for the price of $60, I would give Woodford Doubled Oak a 9.5.
Yeah.
It is whatever, but we're not saying it tastes the same as George T. Stagg pound for pound.
Right.
So it's within context of availability.
Availability and cost.
This is difficult because it's not available at all.
Right.
This is literally something that you have to travel across the world to get.
Yeah.
So I'm having a hard time with it from there. I will say this. If it ever comes across your radar, the uniqueness, the interesting level to it. So I'm going to rate it off of, if you happen to see it, the need to pour a glass of it. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Does that work? And I think in that context, because of, I don't know, and I haven't had as much as you, but I've had a lot of bourbons over the course of my life. I've never tasted something like that. So within the context of what we're talking about, it's a 9. You have to pour it just to go, I'd be down. 8, because it is the best under 90 proof bourbon I've ever had. So within that context, it's a 9.
Yep.
That's where it's at.
I would probably 8.5 it,
Mm.
but which is still great. The uniqueness to me really, really jumps it up there. Uh, and if you take all the things in mind, is it available, cost, I'd be good with a 9. So here's my question to you, and I have a dollar figure in my head. What would you pay for that? Knowing it comes only from Japan or from yeah. And I'm sorry guys, I don't know if it's Asia or just Japan.
I'm going to overpay because of that. Is the
Bingo. No,
problem?
no,
Like
absolutely.
that's the issue.
And I should have researched this. I looked secondary in the U.S. is $200-300, but it does it. I know retail 6 years ago was 45 or 50. It's probably more now, but what would you pay for that?
To put it on my shelf and let people I
Yeah,
like try it,
yeah,
I'd pay $100.
yeah. $100.
Yeah,
That's
easy. Just
straight
to
up.
put it on the shelf
That
and
was
go,
that was the
great.
that was the
And
dollar
if somebody
figure.
goes, it's 150, I go, okay. Because it's just interesting enough that I go, hey, I bet you hadn't had an 86 proof.
Yeah,
Let's throw it up. Try that.
yeah.
Because there's bite to it. And now look, if we go pound for pound on it, just straight, how does this taste?
Right.
I'm still a 7.
No, no, no. Yeah,
It's a 7.
yeah. Just taste
Just
alone.
straight, hey, you can choose bourbon.
Yeah,
It's a 7.
I can't argue with that at all. All right, my mission was accomplished.
That's
Yeah,
fascinating.
I put one in front of you. I wanted to see what you thought.
I know I'm really intrigued by
Yeah,
that. That kind of blew me away. And again, we're pairing it with another Asian bourbon,
yeah, and I can't wait for you to try that one.
a Wild Turkey 101 12 year.
So,
It has some tasting notes on the back of it, but we'll try to avoid looking at those too much.
all right, are we done talking
No,
Super
go ahead.
Roses?
Whatever you want to do.
I mean, Four Roses Super
If
Premium,
you want to move on, go ahead.
uh, all day long. Yeah, I'll take that. It's a fun bottle. You get a chance,
If that was a
grab it.
$45 bourbon
Yeah,
with the fact that it's low proof and then gonna put you in
yeah,
in the tank, that would be one of the best daily sippers you can run across
yeah,
because you're not going to get tanked off of it. And then two, it's
yeah.
$45. So if it actually was available in this country, that's impressive.
Well, I know, and Charlie will end up watching this episode, and he's probably going, "I paid $80 for that jackass at one
That's
point."
fine at 80.
You
I'll
know
do it
what?
at 80.
I'm going to follow up and find out what he paid for it, though. I'm curious, really curious. But if you get a chance, guys, run into it. All right, so we can crack this in port, but I want to talk wild turkey for a
Okay.
little bit.
Sure.
So, a lot of people, to them, wild turkey is wild turkey 101. They look at that as a not that good of a bourbon, a very base bourbon.
Very harsh bourbon.
Yeah, yeah. So, is that your initial thoughts when you come to wild turkey?
I sort of separate wild turkeys into two categories. If you go, hey, just simply wild turkey as a thought, you're going to go to the store, you're going to pull it off the shelf. What do you think? Yes, I don't think it's one that appeals to my palate. I think
Yeah,
it's pretty harsh. It's kind of boring to me. I think it's in. I don't mean it in a condescending way when I say entry level, but it's just not doing
sure.
anything to grab my attention at that point.
Well, no, entry level is a great description.
But what's interesting about Wild Turkey, which I'm assuming is the reason you have this bottle in front of me, is that Wild Turkey's good stuff is fan freaking tastic.
Beautiful.
They have nothing, at least that I've tasted, that's in the middle. Wild Turkey is kind of eh, or wow,
Which one is?
it's this one.
Okay.
That's really impressive. So that's the part of Wild Turkey is that I know enough to be dangerous and know that the really good ones are really really good, but the base level off the rack Wild Turkey is not going to be something I grab compared to the Four Roses or some of
Right.
the Old Foresters or some things along those lines where I just trust it as a brand, but I know that their elite is elite
Yeah.
at the same time.
Yeah. They have the releases, Generations, Masters Keep, Dime, all the special releases, and they're typically good.
Mm-hmm.
But, and you know how big I am on barrel picks. I think barrel picks are one of the best bourbons you can get if you get to a store or somebody that knows how to pick barrels. Russell's Reserve barrel picks.
No doubt. Yeah.
Our top 3 barrel picks. You can get some of the best $60 to $80 bottles I've ever had were Russell's Reserve barrel picks.
I do not know if they still have it, but if you are local, St. Leo was carrying a Russell's barrel pick that was excellent the last few months.
Oh yeah.
Whether they still have it or not, I don't know.
Uh,
But it
so
has been fantastic.
so you're talking about off the secret menu, the
I am.
book.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
And I helped, or I put that Russell's Reserve
Yes.
in the book,
It is. It is.
and
It is
it
good.
is super good.
It is.
If I'm,
It is the. If you see the book, it is the best pick off that book, in my
yeah.
opinion.
And the book's about to change too. I think football
Is it?
season coming up.
Okay.
I'm thinking that's a Russell's from Lavino over in Tupelo, my buddy Thomas. I
Yeah,
think
sure.
that's where that came from. But yeah, it's really good.
Do you agree with that Wild Turkey as a distiller?
Yeah, no,
Kind
no.
of
I mean,
upside.
it's just yeah. Everybody has the Wild Turkey. That's just a redneck country boy whiskey. And I think I've said this before. I was in Baghdad one time, and the only bourbon I could get was Makers and Wild Turkey 101, and it was one of the best.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
That's good.
it was beautiful.
Oh, good.
Probably learned to love it there, but man, they do a good job. In the Russell's Reserve, I absolutely love. I still to this day, I was supposed to go with Aaron at High Cotton. We were going up for a barrel pick at Russell's. We were going to get to shoot skeet with Jimmy Russell
Oh, wow.
and have a drink with him. And it was the most fired up I've ever been about a barrel pick because I want to meet Jimmy Russell, and I still have not met him. And COVID canceled it. And
Really?
Aaron finally got it rescheduled, went up and did it this year, and of course I was out of country and I missed it, and they didn't. And so I almost say thank goodness they didn't get to meet Jimmy Russell. So, and I hate it for them they didn't get to have his drink,
But it made you feel a
yeah,
little
but it
better.
made me feel better. But man, I love their stuff, and I still want to go there. I think I'll get to go there sometime. I do want to have a drink with Jimmy Russell, but his son Eddie. I think Eddie had to kind of push it to get Jimmy to let him start putting some stuff out. But the Russell's Reserve barrel picks are so good, and I love these. I love these Asian releases or Japanese releases. The 8 years I brought back last year were good. The 13's good, and I'll be honest with you, I've already had this one, so I can already tell you I love it.
Very strong, harsh nose. I mean, it's got a. The nose on this feels 120 proof. Like, it burns the nostrils. It's got a.
See, and I think we've said before, my nose has been broken so many times. I don't get a lot out of nosing.
So, Wild Turkey 101 12 year. The front and the end have a ton. The middle is almost dead, which is interesting because we've had a lot. We've so far on the show, we've had a lot of middle pop,
Right.
and some of our bourbons. And to me, this disappears in the middle. I get a lot at the very beginning, right off the front. The front of the tongue is. You think you have more than a 101. It's got a lot of pop, a lot of sharpness, a lot of heat, and then it sort of dissipates and then comes back for a finish. So that's an interesting thing that you don't always get right there from a bourbon at all. I'm gonna have to kind of check it out for a second though, from a flavor note standpoint. I'm not getting anything yet, which
Yeah.
is my first taste did nothing from a flavor note.
I get again, and y'all won't hear me say this. I get a little thick and chewy on the front end, and I like it. It's a little heavy. I get some Sagar molasses on the front end. Maybe some chocolate, which again is another note I really like to pick up.
There's a heavy citrus or orange on the back end. The end is very orange. It's a citrus, but it's
no, no,
orange.
no.
It's grapefruit. Right. It's orange.
Yep.
It's
Uh,
almost kind of sweet.
I was trying to
I mean,
pick
it's
up-
almost like a
yeah.
little dreamsicle to the very back end of this. Make fun all you want. I know.
Orange is one of my favorite flavors.
It's hot on the front and it dissipates throughout and turns sweet at the very end.
So, I don't get the orange dreamsicle. I get more orange.
Do you? I get orange and almost
Yeah.
cream. Like it feels.
But you're right. In lower back jaw on the finish, I get orange out of that, and that's going to be another reason why I really like this bottle.
There's some chocolate in this.
Yeah, chocolate on the front end, and then I think the chocolate actually lingers longer than anything else.
I think I'm complimenting this as much as I can. Is if you just let it sit and do this when you're drinking bourbon, switch around your mouth, let it sit on the very front, let it sit in the
Yeah,
middle, let it sit on the back. Look, you have different taste buds all over your tongue, so you're going to pick up different flavors. It's what makes this fun. It's what makes it interesting. It's the reason you do this is to try to pick up and enhance and just have a good time with it. There are no wrong answers. Whatever you're tasting or feeling, that's what you got. There's nothing wrong. But if you let this sit on the very front of your tongue, the heat kind of goes away. The chocolate really comes in to where I don't even know if you think you have bourbon in your mouth. It tastes like a
yeah.
dessert on the very front of your tongue, just sitting there. It's a milk chocolate. It's like sweet and really, really, really pungent from that standpoint.
And speaking of chocolate, chocolate is one of my favorite things to go with bourbon. To me, a good dark chocolate, and that's
Mm-hmm.
the second thing I'll hunt on a lot of my trips. I'm
Dark
always
chocolate.
looking for dark chocolate, for good dark chocolates. And you can sit me down at night, and my dessert after dinner
You squares.
can be a square with a good glass. Dark chocolate, I think, pairs so well with bourbon.
I'm trying to contrast them. So it is a dark chocolate with a middle to a lighter bourbon,
Yeah,
and the really heavy bourbons I want to go a little sweeter. So like some really good cakes or things like that. They
yeah.
like like a sugar ease cake or something. Like you take that son of a gun and get you a pretty heavy bourbon.
Oh
It's
yeah.
going to contrast the heaviness and the lightness and the sweetness and the sharpness, and you're cooking all of a sudden at that point. So
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I know somebody, and I'm trying to remember who it is, has talked about on y'all's message board, the Rebel Grove board, about Four Roses, some of the really high end barrel picks, and I think a sugaries or strawberry cake. I think that's his go to, uh, which I've got to try sometime because that does sound very interesting.
oh, you hadn't tried it?
No,
Yeah, yeah,
no,
yeah.
I don't think I've ever had. When I think of strawberry cake, I think about my grandmama's homemade 7 layer strawberry cake that I used to take to my elementary school teachers the first day of class.
Go ahead and get
Oh
it.
yeah,
Good,
I
good,
always
good,
took
good.
her the cake. Back in the day, I bet we don't do that anymore, do we? That was back in the day.
No apple, no cake,
Yeah,
nothing.
yeah. All right, so if and apples to oranges are, and you shouldn't.
These are nothing alike.
If I told
They
you you could only have one of those two, which one would you take?
straight drinking.
Yeah.
I'm gonna blow you away. The Four Roses.
Oh, yeah. So no, I got to go here. I like the Wild Turkey 12, but
The,
I mean, I can't argue with you.
it's a 101. The Wild Turkey is
Yeah.
a 101 that plays up. It feels like a
Both of those
110,
play up,
115
right?
proof. It feels heavier. It feels sharper. It feels like there's more bite there. Like
Yeah.
that feels what they do well here with this 12 is it's complex. It's got that front and that finish,
Yeah.
and it from a straight what you would guess the proof to
Mhm.
be, it plays like a base level average 120 to 125 because it's got a lot of stuff to it. It's got enough heat. It's gonna kind of shock you there. But I think from just an enjoyment factor, I actually get more flavors on the Four Roses.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think that I like the chocolate on the front end
Yeah.
a lot. The fruit on the back's fine, but I'd rather it be reversed. I'd rather get the chocolate, the deeper stuff on the
Mhm.
back, and the fruit on the front. But there's something about that Four Roses that gives me enough pop while not necessarily
Yeah.
making me have to guess for it. That I think I prefer that.
And I've never. I just had this thought. I know typically in Japan you got lighter proofs. Maybe they're smarter than us and realize we need to do lighter proofs so you don't get hammered. But it never hit me until you brought this up. So we're drinking two of those, and both of them we would have added 20 proof to it if we didn't know the proof, which is very interesting because you're getting what you think is a 105 proof, a 120
Oh,
proof,
no doubt.
but they're really not. So maybe that's with purpose. I don't know.
It makes me grade them higher though,
Yeah.
because it shows complexity. It shows some things to them versus if that Weller was a 120, I'd go, It's good.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's good. I've had
Yeah.
stuff that's been in the 120 that's better
Right.
in the past or whatnot. And again, it's like the Four Roses from a straight ranking system standpoint. It's very difficult because it's not available. Number one, and then number two, I don't know what to compare it to.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what in my mind makes sense to that, and I'm not 100% sure because I'll like it more than say a. I'm trying to think. I don't like it as much as a Widow 12.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah. No. No.
uh, 1 to 10 straight taste pound for pound. 7.5.
Yeah.
7.5. It's
I,
not knocking my
I,
socks
I
off.
would, I would,
It's very good.
I would 7.5 to 8. I might be more in the 8 range. I think I like it a little more than you do, and maybe part of that's because I typically get the releases from over there, and I really enjoy them. You know, the 8 year, I think we've got one back in the vault, or a couple of them. Off air, we'll have to try those and see together. I do know this is the 8 year was great last year. I think this one's even better. Uh, but I think they put out really, really good stuff. Those special releases are good. And now I'm infatuated with trying to figure out, do they purposefully, are they releasing lower proofs that taste higher proof to hit a sweet spot in Japan for the customer over there?
And,
To
and,
me, that's
and they
interesting.
have to be because
Yeah.
otherwise, why?
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense because it's taken an entirely different process to do that.
Right.
But it's frankly more precise.
Yeah.
Because most normal 86s,
Right.
nothing.
Yeah.
You kind of answered this, but and forget international. Don't worry about that if you're going overseas and doing it. But just in general, what's kind of your? And I think it's go hit him up. Don't be too pushy, but just kind of reiterate that a little bit. You're going to a new place, new state. You're bourbon hunting. You walk into a store, hunting out at the owner, hunting out the manager, hunting out the employee. How do we approach that?
So first of all, I'm gonna spend a lot of time looking at their bourbons.
Don't immediately run in and go
No,
talk to the
oh
guy.
my gosh, and you can talk to guys in old stores. Don't walk in and say, "Yeah, hey, you got any Blantons?" or "Hey, you got Pappy?" I'm like, "Oh my gosh!" I mean, you're talking about they want to say, "Get out of my store!
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
even
yeah.
sell you anything." Go look at their bourbons. Go look at their whiskeys. If they have a good
Pick up their
selection,
barrel picks and flip them
yeah,
around.
look at them. If they have a good selection, compliment them on it. You know, look and see what they have, and you know, if they have something that you want, then get it and take it to the counter. Buy
Yes.
it.
Buy a bottle.
Yeah, yeah. I have a rule. If I'm in a store and that store owner engages me and talks to me for a while, I'll buy a bottle. And even if it's, I'll go back and get a Woodford Double Oaked. If they're courteous enough to me or take enough interest in me to have a conversation with me for a little while,
I'll find something I like
I'm going to buy something
and I'll
from
grab it.
them. Yeah, absolutely. And so I'll compliment them on it. Oh, you know, I see that Yellowstone right there. And, you know, hey, I did a barrel pickup there last year. The 119 proof we got was awesome. You know, hey, what do you think of Yellowstone? Or, you know, just engage them. And I'll usually mention, you know, hey, you got a bourbon club back in, you know, Mississippi. And, you know, we love this or that and talk about these things. And, and so many times you're just talking to them and it like becomes a pride matter to them that, hey, by the way,
If you like that, let me show you what
yeah,
I got.
yeah, you know what? You were talking about how you like Wellers. You know, I have a few full proofs in the back. You interested in one? You know, I mean, it happens all the time. And I'll never forget this. Good buddy in the club, Matt Strum.
Yeah.
I talk Matt, always ask, always talk. He's going over to Smith Lake in Alabama and just stops in this hole in the wall store and he's getting something. Just they're going to be at the lake for the weekend. And he chats with the guy for a little while. And he goes, "Oh, hey, you don't have anything in the back, do you?" And the guy goes, "You know, actually, I do. I got this one bottle. Customer was supposed to pick it up. He'd been in here 2 months." And he goes, "Let me go get it." And he sets a Pappy 20 down. And this is 5 years ago,
No
4 years
kidding.
ago. He says, "You want it?" And Matt didn't even ask the price. And he goes, "Yeah, absolutely." Sold it to him for retail right there. Yep.
Retail.
Talk to people. Be polite, be nice, talk to them. If they got a good, if they, I know, it's just unbelievable. And so we just like,
It's a one in a
oh
million
no, it
shot.
is, yeah,
Like
right, right.
it's.
But I can't tell you how many times though I'm, not a Pappy 20, but something else, just something good, maybe an EH single barrel. But and you also nailed it. If they have barrel picks in there, look at them, talk to them. Hey, who did your barrel? Who did this Russell's barrel pick? Who did this Knob Creek barrel pick or whatever? And man, they start talking. They get a little pride in what they do, and then before you know it,
Because every barrel pick is a story.
yeah,
They had a good
yeah,
time. They had a meal. They went with some buddies. They
absolutely,
did this.
yeah,
Oh, we
uh,
shot skeets. We
yeah,
did this. We went and did this. Hey, well, I tell you what I did. I did this one too. And if you've
yeah,
seen this bottle,
yeah,
it's actually the one. And then
absolutely.
they throw that over to you and go, no, no, no. It's when we went to here and we did this one.
And I tell you right now, I've probably done 15 to 20 barrel picks more. I don't know. You're right. There's a story to every one of them. There's a story to every one of them, and it's a good story. There's something always fun to it. Some you like more than others. Some you walk away going, "Oh my gosh, I can't wait for that one to get back." And then some you go,
I don't know.
yeah, that was good. And then a lot of times they'll show up and be even better than you remember. The hard part of this is, oh my gosh, last year I went up with Aaron and a couple of us, and we picked 10 or 12 barrels in 3 days, 4 days. Oh my
That's
gosh,
overload.
we're starting at 10 in the morning. We're pulling up the parking lot, and my thing. Uh, the second pour whiskey or bourbon is always better than the first because
You got to get your palate.
yep. So we'll always have something with us, and we'll swish in the parking lot, spit it out, and go in. And you do that barrel pick at 10, then you got one scheduled at 1 at another distillery. And
Oh boy.
yeah, no, and then you end up picking 2 barrels there, and it's you got to really, really watch it. Or
You can get loose.
oh
Fast.
yeah, no, and by 4 o'clock, that's the best damn whiskey I've ever had in my entire life. And it's
Then you get it back later and go, I'll be damned. I don't know.
it's a rebel, just a plain rebel yell or whatever. They're always fun. It's always interesting. But I love that idea. What you said though, if you're in a store and they have barrel picks, talk to them about their barrel pick. And look, there's some stores the owner's like, oh yeah, they send me they send me
Yeah,
some.
it doesn't matter.
No, right, but
You're not going to hit a home run
no,
every time.
no. If you hit a double 1 out of 10 times, you win. I mean that's that. Yeah, your expectations shouldn't be just because I talked to a guy, he's going to bring me something out of the back of the store. But every now and then, that's how you hit.
Is there a wild turkey that's available semi on the shelf that you do like in this country?
The Russell's Reserve.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, just a Russell's Reserve.
It's a great daily.
Yep.
It's a great daily.
Shoot, 45, $50. I mean, a 10-year bourbon. I mean, it's like an Eagle Rare. We get so spoiled by Eagle Rare by a $35, $40 bottle. And it's a 10-year bourbon. Yeah, so give me Russell's Reserve. Here's my problem is I've had so many good barrel picks. I look at a Russell's Reserve 10-year on the store. I'm like, I want a barrel pick.
I'll get that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm always going to get a barrel pick. But the Russell's Reserve 10 years are solid. I just, I never was a big turkey juice fan, but I am now. I love it. I love their stuff. I think they do a great job. And again, on my bucket list is I have a drink with Jimmy Russell one day. And I hope that
you got to keep working toward
it.
it.
I will. Yeah.
You're not done yet.
Oh, believe me, there's no give up in me. I will keep pursuing. You can count on that for sure.
It's 2 great bottles of bourbon here. Completely different. Again, trying to give you guys ideas of not just the bottles in front of us, but things to look for, things that we find interesting. Let us know what you find interesting. Contact us. I'll put all the information for that in the description of the podcast where you can email. You can obviously find us on social media. Let us know the bottles. Show me what you found. Show me barrel picks. We'll talk about those. We love to interact with you guys as we continue this journey of, again, trying to inform, educate, just have fun. Because, again, we're not experts. We're just telling you what we like, and then we'd love for you to tell us what you like as well. So some really cool bottles today. a cool episode, a cool week here as we have the Four Roses Super Premium again from at least Asia, maybe Japan.
Yeah.
We're not 100% sure. And then this Wild Turkey 12 year, this 101 that is completely different than what you would just find on the shelf with the normal 101 as we try to give you a glimpse into what that's like as well. So again, for our guests, that when we have those on the podcast, as well as we're just hanging out with you, sharing time with you, sharing drinks with you, we appreciate it. And we'll continue to tell you what's coming up and let you potentially find the bottle, start reviewing with us, see how you differ from us, or maybe what you find. If you've got different tastes, if you've got different things that you get on the nose or in the mouth feel, we would love to hear from you for that as well. So we'll find you again next week. Happy hunting, happy drinking, and we'll talk to you then.
Cheers, guys.